Welcome all to our weekly town hall. My name is Menla. We're going to get started here. We have the good fortune of having Lama Roger Walsh again with us this week. If you were not here with us last week, I encourage you to go on Lama Surya's YouTube, and I'll connect the link in the chat soon, and listen to last week because it was very informative. And also remind you that Lama Roger is a co-host of a podcast called Deep Transformation. They have some wonderful guests on there, so check that out wherever you listen to your podcasts. So I will now turn it over to Lama Roger. Thank you, Lama, for being here again this week.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. What a gift to be together. I'm just kind of looking at all these little squares from around the country, each one an entire life and universe unto itself, a different realm. How wonderful. What a gift we have to be together. I think we can just take a moment. It's always a beautiful idea just to take a moment at the beginning of a practice session to just feel grateful for the opportunity of, well, pick what you want to feel grateful for. It's a long, long list. We have what the Tibetans, Buddhists would call free and well-favored lives, that is, free of the many afflictions that can make it impossible for people to practice, and favored with the privileges, opportunities, circumstances, situations, health, well-being that enable people to practice. And if you start running down all the things that have to come together before you and I can sit here, then it turns out to be a long list. And that is actually a practice which is worth doing. When you sit down, just to reflect on all the gifts and graces and benefits, etc., one has to have in one's life before we could just sit and be together. So a moment of gratitude. I have three general goals for our time together. One is to introduce and guide through some preliminary practices or setup practices that settle and stabilize and sensitize the mind in a way that makes it more amenable, accessible, open to our central Dzogchen practice of so-called cutting through, cutting through the mind stuff to rest in simple awareness. The second is to do some of the awareness practice and just look at some ways to refine that practice for ourselves. So that's the second goal I have for today. And the third is to just briefly look at ways we can take our practice out in the world, particularly in the form of service. Because while sitting is a beautiful and wonderful practice, it's not the end point. The goal is to be able to cultivate skills and capacities of heart and mind, and then to bring them into the world, into effective service, so as to offer and cultivate those qualities and gifts of heart, mind, and others. We traditionally begin Tibetan Buddhist practice with the Bodhisattva aspiration, which is the aspiration that we may develop ourselves, we may open our hearts, cultivate, refine our minds, so as to awaken and to develop the qualities of heart and mind which will enable us to live most fully and beautifully, and also to be most effective instruments for the welfare and awakening of others. So it's a very encompassing aspiration, and it's a beautiful one, and usually we do that. But today I'm just going to invite you to feel into what aspiration for yourself would best serve you today. That is, what would you most like to come out of our time together today that would best serve you? Is there a particular quality of heart or mind, particular state, a kind of experience that you'd like to open to? What is it that would best serve you today from our practice time? And then just hold that aspiration in mind. You don't have to do anything with it. Just hold it as a guiding principle for mind. You don't have to vow to make it happen. Rather, just you can do it as an aspiration or prayer, or yeah, that's the direction I want my heart mind to move and my life to move. And then I invite you to wish that same quality, blessing, capacity for everyone here, everyone on this Zoom meeting, everyone who's practicing with us. And I invite you to be aware of the fact that every single person in this meeting at this very moment is wishing you well, wishing you some beautiful quality or capacity or skill that they would like, but they're also wishing you have it. Just relax and open to the fact that you are being wished well by all these people from around the country. Beautiful. And now let your wish that others enjoy this quality or capacity of heart, mind, of life extend to all people and all beings. Why would you want to keep a beautiful quality to yourself? And one of the beautiful things to know about the mind is that when you wish a particular quality for another, you strengthen it in your own mind. What you intend for others, you tend to strengthen in yourself. And just feel what it's like to wish well to everyone without hesitation or reservation or restriction. There's something beautifully opening and uplifting and releasing of defense and limitation about that wish for others. Beautiful. Just give yourself a moment to enjoy that. Ah, good. So that's a very important thing to know about the mind. It can be a way of just giving yourself some easy, beautiful moments. As another aspect of our opening practices, let's just take a moment to do a practice of what's called invoking the blessings of the lineage. And the idea here is that we are the heirs of a lineage tradition going back centuries, actually millennia, in which a lot of great men and women have awoken to the realization of their true nature, of who they really are, to the recognition of boundless awareness outside space-time, and have become that awareness outside space-time. And as such, that awareness intersects with our present moment. This instant is not only the only time there is, it's the closest approximation to eternity that this world holds. So right now, we're told that we can request the blessings of the lineage masters, those men and women who awoke to the realization of their true nature. And we can request that they bless our heart minds and do three things: that they purify our heart minds of any problematic qualities or proclivities, that they bless our heart minds by cultivating virtues and qualities and capacities we want, and that they do what's called installing the views, that is, the particular perspectives or ways of looking that we're developing in this practice. So, if you wish, I invite you to request the blessing of the lineage, and then just to rest in openness. Because the beauty of blessing is you don't have to do anything, you just have to be open to receive it. Closest English word we have for it would be, in addition to blessing, would be grace. So just rest in awareness, open to the blessing of those who have awoken, good. Ah, nothing to do, just to be open and to request blessing. So what we're doing is we're moving through a series of practices, each one of which is beneficial in itself, which can be beautiful setups for resting in awareness, directed, sky gazing practice. And each of these practices can be, a practice unto itself. You can devote a major part of sitting to it. But so we're moving through these opening, stabilizing, settling practices. And now let's move into a more detailed practice, one we did last week, which is a beautiful way of really settling into the body. And it makes available some other capacities. That's a body scan. And what we do is we move attention through the body. You can begin with the head or the feet, but we'll begin with the head. And then we're going to move awareness / attention through the body very slowly and systematically, bringing as much attention awareness as we can to each body part. And to notice what you find. In some places, it'll just be smooth and clear. In other places, you may notice tensions. And if so, you can do two things. You can just be with the tension, just experience it. That's all you have to do. Or if you want, you could do something like seeing if you can move and let it go, or have this sensation experience of as though you're breathing into it, in and out through that area. And just notice what happens as you bring awareness to that. And then you might also have a really interesting experience in which you come to a place where it feels like there's really no experience of it. It's just, there's nothing there. And if that happens, I invite you to pay particularly close attention, because the experience of nothing is also something. And if you take a little time with that apparent nothingness, you may find that that apparent experience of nothingness opens into something else. So you'll see. But it's the whole practice is an exploration. It's just seeing, oh, and bringing interest to it. Oh, what am I going to find here? Okay, so let's begin by paying attention to the crown of the head. Just feel the crown of your head. And then slowly bring attention down over the scalp. Great. And then slowly bring attention down over the head, the forehead, the eyes. What do you notice in the nose and mouth? What do you notice in the mouth? That's a whole world of experience. And the back of your head. And the chin. And the neck. And the collarbone, shoulders. Down into the chest. And begin to move awareness down the upper arms. What do you notice there? Down through the upper arms. Into the elbows. into the forearms, down into the wrists and the fingers. What do you notice there? Good. And then back to the chest, upper chest. And notice how that there can be, as you bring attention to an area, there can be a natural tendency for the muscles in that area to relax. So you may notice that your arms are more relaxed now that you've brought attention to them. And you might also similarly note that the muscles around your chest and shoulders tend to relax as you bring awareness to them. We tend to contract when we're unconscious. When we go unconscious, get lost into our thoughts and fantasies, the muscles contract as we kind of unconsciously, in a minor way, act out our fantasies. But now, as you bring awareness to the muscles, to the chest, for example, then you might just notice an automatic tendency for the muscles to relax and release, almost to the point where you want to just sigh. Ah. Good. And continue down, lower chest, back, down to the upper abdomen. Down through the abdomen. Just letting go, bringing awareness to the abdomen, just allowing the muscles to relax. Down towards the pelvis. Relaxing. On the upper thighs. Slowly bringing attention down through the thighs. Lower thighs. Knees. What do you find in the upper calves? What's the experience of the middle calves? And the lower leg? And the ankles? And the feet? What do you notice of the contact of the feet with the floor? And the toes? And then notice the body as a whole. Well, how does the body as a whole feel Now that you've brought attention awareness through the whole body very carefully and slowly, perhaps it's a tingling field of sensation, or perhaps the whole body is tingling. Perhaps it's vibration. Perhaps some of it or all of it is light. And then explore an interesting question. Just in your experience, where and what is the body? And you could be having many experiences as a result of this practice. But notice the body image is not as clear as we sometimes think it is. And that body may be more a field of vibration, sensation, light, perhaps. Well, perhaps not. Many, many possible experiences. Now, just as you survey this body and mind, do you find a self anywhere? Notice that you just scanned through the whole body and didn't find any self. And that as you look again, you don't find one. But what you do find, what's left, once you see through the illusion or the presupposition that there's a self watching all this, what you find is awareness. So now you can practice as awareness because you've recognized who you really are. When you really look closely, what you find is awareness. So now you've cultivated this sensitivity to your experience, and you've recognized that there is awareness. Now I invite you to open your eyes and just, without doing anything, just to let your awareness encompass this, not only the body now, but the environment. Just continue to be aware of the body, but also continue to be aware of the environment. And again, just be particularly aware of the body. Notice awareness throughout in and through the body. Notice awareness in the body. And now notice the body in awareness. And notice the environment in awareness. All our experience is occurring in awareness. Beautiful. And just rest. Open to all experience. Not having to do anything. Not having to change anything. Just resting as awareness. Great. And if you might be really relaxed. So if you're really relaxed, just and you feel like and you're clear and alert, that's fine. If that relaxation is leading to a little sleepiness, then sit up straight, take a couple of deep breaths. Yeah. Yeah, so what we're looking for is a relaxed alertness. Now you're simply resting, relaxed, alert, resting open to all experience. There's a background or context of awareness in which everything is arising. Good. Beautiful. Okay, and now I'm going to invite you to just pick an object in your environment to look at for a moment. Just notice some object in your environment. Just look at it. And now really look at it. Look at it really closely. What did you not notice before? What stands out when you really look? Notice that there's an extra alertness and clarity you can bring to that looking at any object. And come back to resting in awareness, but bring that same alertness, the clarity that you just had to this moment. What are you aware of now that was subliminal for you before? And now with that extra alertness and clarity, let's take a couple of moments do a practice which is really valuable to do regularly as part of one's sitting, often towards the beginning. But let's take a few minutes just to try and be aware of anything that arises in the mind as soon as it arises. So if a thought arises, if an image arises, see if a fantasy begins, see how quickly you can catch it. You're sitting alert, clear, looking for, catching experiences as they begin to arise. How quickly can you catch, for example, a thought? You find yourself thinking about something, or can you catch it right as the first thought arises, or even as it begins to arise? You can catch a thought before it even has kind of its story, a part of it elaborated. And the earlier you catch things as they arise in the mind, the less you're likely to be caught by them and hypnotized by them. Good. Okay, now for just a moment more, see if you can catch anything that arises as quickly as possible. Good. Okay, and as we come towards the end of our sitting, I'm going to invite you to reflect on two things. First, what insights did you have about the mind or yourself, or about awareness? And you might want to name those. There was an insight about whatever. Good. And second, what did you learn about how to practice? What did you learn about how to practice? Good. Really valuable to do those reflections at the end of each sitting. Now, rather than ring a bell and suggest that we're finishing our sitting, what I'd like you to do, would like to do is just invite you to continue effectively sitting, open awareness, and bring your attention back to our group, our community, staying open awareness, but within that open awareness, now aware of our group, our community. Take a few minutes or take at least a couple of breaths just to relax, settle. Just to breathe and be here. Great. So we did series of opening, settling, developmental practices, including scanning the body carefully. We discovered no self there. That allowed us to realize that what was there all the time is awareness. And we practiced as that awareness. And just were open to all experiences. Beautiful. I realize I'm giving you a lot here, but the next stage or next step is to bring our awareness, clarity into activity, into the world, and into service. And it's interesting if you look across history. The great historian Arnold Toynbee, who did a huge survey of the world's civilizations, concluded that the distinctive character of those people who'd contributed most to human history was what he called the cycle of withdrawal and return. The people who'd most had the greatest impact were ones who had, at a certain point of their life, withdrawn from conventional society, turned attention to the great questions of life, plumbed their own depths, plumbed the investigation, exploration of what is life, what really matters, had come and really worked with those questions, had come to some sort of realization, awakening, recognition, understanding, and then had returned to bring their understanding and illumination and awakening, enlightenment, whatever, back to the world to help and to heal and to teach. So we go, this is what we're doing with our lives. We're going through a cycle of withdrawal and return and doing it on a regular basis. So we go in, we withdraw, but we don't withdraw just to withdraw. We go into ourselves in order to go more effectively out into the world. And we go out into the world continuing our practice so as to go deeper into ourselves. And so I invite you to reflect on one of the questions I raised last time, or suggested comes up for anyone who wants to contribute in the world, is what can I do? What is mine to do in the world? What do I feel called to, without getting lost into thinking it has to be some grand heroic things? Maybe as simple as making a practice of smiling at everyone you meet, or can be very simple things. Again, as Mother Teresa said, we can't all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. So what is it we're called to do in the world, in this world, which is there's always suffering in the world, but seems like there's even more right now. Political turmoil, wars, starvation. There's a lot. So what are we called to? And we do it as practice. We go out into the world and we contribute. We go into ourselves and cultivate our inner resources, and we renew and refresh and heal ourselves. And then we go out into the world in order to contribute. We look for ways that we can just help and heal in some small ways, usually as part of our lives. Maybe some will be called to travel and to do particular projects, but often it's just taking what we're doing in our life and turning it into service and contribution. And so in our own lives, we follow the examples of the great heroes who have gone through this cycle of withdrawal and return. We have taken time this morning to effectively withdraw from the craziness of the world, to go in, to be with beautiful people and be nourished by them, to go into ourselves and be nourished by our true nature. And now in a little while, we'll go back out into the world. And the question is, how can we do that in a way which is most helpful and healing, and do it as a part of our practice? And a key part of the practice of service is to serve as fully and wholeheartedly and carefully and skillfully as we can, while simultaneously letting go attachment to the outcome. And that turns it into a yoga or practice of itself. We serve as wholeheartedly, as fully and effectively as we can, and let go attachment to how it turns out. Because we don't have a control over that. We can do our best, but our best is only part of it. The universe may have other plans. But if we do our practice and service wholeheartedly and let go attachment, we're also doing our service and practice. We're doing our service as practice. So that's a lot. Again, we practice gratitude. We set an aspiration. We invoked the blessings of the lineage. We did a careful body scan, and that really discovered what's the real experience of the body. Realized there wasn't a self there, but there is awareness, always awareness. And then we sat and practiced as that awareness. We intensified the awareness. We practiced to catch everything that arose as quickly as possible before it elaborates and captures and hypnotizes us. And then we reflected on what we learned. And then we explored how to bring what we've learned out into the world. So we covered a lot. We have just a few minutes for some comments or questions. And if you'd like to unmute yourself and share anything, please do. Glenda.
So great to see you and your podcast. I'm especially listening to this last one with Hamid Ali.
Oh, yes. Isn't he amazing?
And how you wrote the description for the podcast caused me to think about something I've not contemplated, that beingness can be felt as fullness or emptiness. But today, now, in this practice that I did with you, this body scan and relaxing and letting go, I see, envisions these golden vibrating particles of light that my body is. But due to this meditation today, I realized I'd been keeping the particles of light separate from my body. Separate. Not realizing I was doing that, because I kind of knew the particles were the skin, and I feel molten, but I was holding them separate, Lama Roger. So I felt the fullness of my beingness is the merging of the form with the clear light. I've never had that before.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And all
Thank
you had to do was look carefully.
Relax. Yeah, with awareness.
Right. Yeah, if I had to summarize our practice, Dzogchen practice, it would be exactly as you said, Glenda, relax with awareness.
Bless
Yes,
your heart.
and bless yours. And yes, Hamid is amazing. It's been a privilege to dialogue with him and some incredible people. I'll mention, since you raised the podcast, we just did dialogue with Frank Ostasescu, who's founded the Zen Hospice. And that was such a profound dialogue. So I know a number of you are interested in death and dying and working with the dying. So that was a beautiful dialogue. The podcast is Deep Transformation, Self, Society, Spirit. And it's just been a privilege to dialogue with these incredible people. Thank you, Glenda.
I was just going to ask really quickly about pith instructions because I'm loving them so much. And I was just wondering if there's a place where they are gathered at all, a place to find them, because I've been finding them kind of floating around in different teachings. And I've just kind of been like sitting with one per day and kind of like letting that be a meditation throughout the day. But I was just wondering if there happens to be a place where to find them a little more easily.
Let's see. Well, there are a lot of so-called pith instructions, which are basically very simple but profound instructions with our Dzogchen practice for taking a particular perspective on things. And I don't know that there's kind of a shopping list somewhere, in part because they're really to be done as you're doing them. I appreciate the way you're doing it. You take one instruction and really just meditate with it. So I'm not aware of a place where they're just compiled, and I think it could be even dangerous because I could imagine people wanting, oh yeah, do all these instead of exactly as what you're doing. Do you have an example of one pith instruction you're doing?
I was just finishing the book As It Is, which was so beautiful. And then I realized As It is a pith instruction right there. But yeah, this makes sense that it's really more kind of interwoven throughout the teachings here and there. But yeah, As It is a beautiful one. Or Lama Surya Das, it's shared a few. So like It Is All Within, We Are All Buddhas. Those are some that I was thinking of.
Yeah. And as a general principle, what you can do is, sounds like something that you're doing, Anahita, but general principle is, just reading a deep text and you just find a sentence or a phrase that really strikes you.
I see.
Stop and really let it in. And there's a tradition, this is done in a particular way, formal way. In the tradition, it's like a threefold practice. One, you hear or read a text, and then you find a particular part, and it can be just a phrase, a few words, like, this is it. And you reflect on it. So second, you hear it or read it, you reflect on it, and then you meditate on it. You just quiet the active mental process go and just kind of let it echo through the mind as you just open to it. And that threefold practice is a beautiful one. Yeah. And those kind of pith instructions can be great for that. So yeah.
Thank you. That makes a lot more sense now. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Linda. Oh, good.
Natural Radiance by Lama Surya Das. He has pith instructions listed.
Oh, he does.
Page 18.
Well, thank you all very much for joining us and being part of this beautiful community. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you for all you're doing in the world. I'll paraphrase what the great psychologist Carl Rogers said: when I look out at the world, I feel hopeless, but when I meet some of the individual people in it, I feel hopeful. So I feel hopeful knowing that you're going out there and doing what you do. So thank you very much.